everyone, welcome back. I'm Mrs. Green. I'm super excited to be with you again. Today we are going to create this, or something. You're going to create your own version of this. And this I think of as a landscape. A landscape is someplace that's outside that you can see, like the forest or the lake or the mountains. I'm sure you guys can think of lots of places like that. But this doesn't look like any regular landscape, right? Because I created this landscape using line, and I use these lines in a repeat. And when you repeat something, that is a pattern. So a pattern repeats. So you should repeat that. A pattern repeats. And you notice I use different kinds of lines. So each section has its own line pattern, but it also has a color pattern. So we're going to be using line and color to create our landscapes out of patterns. And you notice that if you're really looking at this, does it look like it's standing still or does it look like it's moving? Yeah, it looks like it's got some movement happening. And that's because when you use these patterns, it creates what we call a visual rhythm. And the visual rhythm helps to create that movement that we're seeing in this piece. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about line, and we'll talk a little bit about color, and then I'm going to show you how to create one of your very own. So lines, there's lots of lines in the world. If you were here with me, I would have you guys tell me about some lines that you know, but I'm just going to make you a nice little line menu anyway. So we have curvy lines, we have wavy lines, there's zigzag lines, and lines can go in all kinds of directions, right? There's of course the straight line, and then there's the ever popular loopy line, and there's this kind of like a square line. Kind of looks like the top of a castle, right? And there's just a very soft curvy line. Soft curve. So there's lots of lines, and I bet you guys can think of a lot more lines than just what's on this menu. So once you figure out your lines, we also need to think about color. So behind me is a color wheel. So you guys all see the color wheel hanging up there? And the color wheel shows us how color wheels work together. But there are three really important colors on the color wheel. Those are the primary colors. And the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And the thing that makes them so special is that you cannot make those colors. You can't mix two colors together and get those colors. But every other color in the world is made of those three colors, which is pretty amazing. The color wheel shows us how that works. So if you mix red with blue, you get purple. If you mix blue with yellow, you get green. If you mix yellow with red, you get orange. And those are the secondary colors. So the secondary colors are orange, blue, and purple. And I want you to notice that when I did my my landscape, I colored it in using a primary and secondary color pattern. So I have yellow, which is primary, a green, which is secondary, yellow, which is primary, green, which is secondary, yellow, which is primary. And I have primary, secondary, primary, secondary, primary, secondary, primary, secondary. And that's how your color patterns are going to go too. You're going to pick one primary and one secondary, and those are what you're going to use to color in your color palette. So let me show you guys how we're going to make one of your very, very own. Okay, so let me show you how you're going to make your rhythmic or patterned landscape. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just pick a line, any line, and we're going to use that for what we call a horizon. So the horizon line is where the sky and the earth come together. It's where they meet. And you see that really clearly at the ocean when you're looking out. And you can see that strong line, but it's always with us. It's everywhere. So we're going to pick a line that's going to be our horizon line. And I'm going to choose the wavy, the curvy line. You, of course, get to choose a completely different one. So I am going to go from, you notice that I did it towards the middle, and I went from edge to edge. It's really important that you go edge to edge. And now remember, it's a pattern, so it needs to repeat because patterns repeat. So now I'm going to repeat this line 4 or more times so it gets to the bottom of the paper. And remember, we're going from edge to edge, edge to edge, all the way across. That one didn't go all the way to the edge, so I had to fix it. So, and remember, notice I didn't put them really super close together because it's going to make it really hard to color if they're really close together. It'll be easier for you if they are further apart. So don't make them too close and smushy together. And I went from the horizon to the bottom, edge to edge. And if your line is a little bit different each time, it's okay as long as it's the same type of line. That's the important part. Now I want something coming up out of the horizon. And you can pick any shape you want to make. It could be like a circle, you could do an oval, you could do a triangle, you could make it like a volcano or a mountain, whatever you want it to be, but just make sure it's big. You want it to come almost to the tippy top of the paper. So I'm going to make a nice big triangle. I'm going to go with triangle this time. And now I'm going to fill it up in with a different line. And I need to use a completely different line. This one's now off the menu because I already used it. So I think I'm going to use this soft curvy line, and I'm going to go upside down with it. So like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you have to skip the other part, so the horizon came through there. Now I'm going to do another line for my sun or moon. And I think I like this wavy line for my sun, and I'm going to put it in this corner, and this time I'm going to go diagonal with it. But I'm still going from edge to edge. So you see I'm still going edge to edge. And remember, don't get too close. I almost got a little too close there. Okay. And again, you know, if there's little variations in the line, it's okay just as long as it's the same line. And I've only done it 3 times, so remember we need to do 4 more, so I'm going to do 1 more. If I can make it go all the way to the my triangle there, that would be even better. So I might do a 5th one because we want to fill that sky. So see, I'm going edge to edge. I want to fill that whole space. So I'm going to do another one so it touches. Ding. And so I'm going to just make a little peaks coming out because that's going behind. So I'm still using the same line. I'm just making little peaks because it's going behind the thing. And it's coming all the way down here, so it's touching the ground as well. So I have the ground, I have an object coming out, I have a huge sun. You can do a moon if you want. And I'm going to fill out the rest of the sky. And I think I'm going to do that loopy line, the ever popular loopy line. And you see how it goes all the way till I touch. So everything's touching each other. We have no empty spaces. And that's 3. So I'm going to have a little 4. He's going to be popping out just like the other one. Okay. Like that. So once you have all your 4 sections drawn, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4 different lines, and I've repeated them 4 or more times. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to think about, because we want to do a primary, secondary pattern. So it's going to go primary, secondary, primary, secondary. So I'm going to pick a primary and a secondary to color it in with. And so remember, that's red, blue, and yellow is my primary. So I'm going to pick one of those. So I think I'm going to pick blue. I can get my blue out of there. Okay, here's my blue. And then I think I'm going to pick purple. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to color in. I'm starting with the purple. And I'm using the side of the crayon a little bit, but notice I'm going edge to edge with my line too. We spent all that time making those nice lines. We don't want to just scribble scrabble over the top of them. And depending on what kind of table you are, you might get a little pattern coming through, a little rubbing. Okay, and I'm going to go this way now. Kind of follows the line of the thing. And you want to color it in nice and solid. You want solid colored. You don't want lots of little holes. So I'm going in 2 different directions so I make sure I fill it all in. If you accidentally go outside the lines, it's not that big of a deal because you can just color over it. You just have to make some smart choices about which colors you're going to use to color over it. And it's easy to get lost, so just make sure you're following your pattern. So here's my secondary, so I'm going secondary primary this time. A little my table texture coming through. You're going to get that too, I bet. Or depending on what you're coloring on top of. You might get a little texture from it. Okay. So there's my purple. Okay. Now I'm going to go blue, right? Because it's a color pattern. So I did blue. I did purple. Now I'm doing blue. And you want to do your remember we're doing our very best coloring. Okay. So I'm going to get that going. Okay, so I did purple, now I'm doing blue. Next I'm going to do which color? And see, I got a little blue came over here, but that's okay because I'm going to color purple over it. And remember, purple is blue and red, so that's okay if I got a little in there. I can just color right over the top of it and it will disappear. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. Again, we're trying to do our very best coloring. I would even do it even stronger than this, but you guys don't want to sit here and watch me color all day. You guys want to get to your own coloring, and I want you to get to your own coloring. So we're going to pretend I went all the way across here with the purple. Next I'm going to do blue, and then after this I'm going to find another color pattern for here. And one thing you can do so you don't get confused, so I got yellow. Yellow is primary, so I can either have orange or green. So I think I'm going to do green. And this is a little trick so you don't get lost. I go green, yellow, green, yellow, green. And that way I remember which color I'm doing in each section. So that's another little tip for you. All right, you guys go ahead and hit the pause button and go and create your own pattern landscape. Just remember, keep those primary colors in mind and the secondaries, and then come back and meet me when you're done. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun making your landscape out of patterns, and you got a lot out of it. So now I want you to write down or tell somebody in your family, how did creating these patterns change the way it looked, and how did it look after you added the colors? Did there more movement? What happened with it? And then what are the primary colors again? And what are the secondary colors again? And which ones stand out the most to you? All right, happy art making, stay safe, and I will see you next time.